To do today is a DNA spider tee in Rasta colors. So to start with, I have a t-shirt that's been soaked in soda ash. It's been spun out, so it's just barely damp. That's my preferred way of folding the tees, is when they're just barely damp. It just seems to come together easier. So since I'm doing a spider, anytime I fold the tee in half, the best way to do it is to tuck one sleeve inside the other. And I don't know if I can demonstrate this well enough, but when you fold the tee just straight in half like this, then you have the back side of the tee is set up nicely because it's got both of the sections right here next to each other. So when you put the dye on, the back side is going to be pretty uniform, but the front side has two pieces of material in between it. So then when you put your dyes on, they're not always completely even, especially if you want to do a black on one side and color on the other. Then you'll get one side that's really heavy weighted with the black color or pink or blue, whatever color you put solid, and the other side has that nice spider look to it. So this is going to help straighten that out. I do have a video specifically just on centering a tee or folding a tee. I'll put a link to that down in the description. But basically what I do is I just take one sleeve and I tuck it all the way through into the other sleeve. And now line up the seams here. Line up the rest of the sleeve, and then I usually can just give it a quick shake. And once you have that top shoulder seam lined up, you shake it out, and that usually will smooth everything out. So I'll pick this up, give it one more shake, and then that's nice and smooth. And then I have the front of the tee separate from the back of the tee. So this is going to even things out. This here also gives you the possibility if you want to fold something on the front and something different on the back. So, but we're going to leave the two of them folded together. Like I say, we're going to do a spider V tee, or a DNA V. I've called it both things. So basically what I do is I start out with a V shape on here, and I just use a washable marker to draw a line on. And you can draw the V just however big or shallow that you want it. That just gives you a guideline for folding. So what I'm going to do is start down here at the bottom, and I'm just going to accordion fold all the way to the top. And just keep my line. I like to line this line up on top here. So basically I'm trying to fold this up. And with the straight line it's fairly easy because everything is lined up already. But if you had a curved line like a heart, then that takes a little more. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked here, sorry. So we're just going to fold that all the way up. Nice accordion fold going to the top. Okay, so once I get that all the way up, then we're going to tie that part off. I have a kite string here. That's my choice for tying. You could also just slip a rubber band over that if you wanted to. But I do have a video on how I utilize the kite string. And I think once you get the hang of tying with kite string, you're going to love it. So check that video out. There will also be a link to that down in the description. So once I get that tied off, then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the spider in the V section here. So what I'm going to do is flip this over, and then I usually go down just a couple fingers from the neckline here, but kind of you're just centering it in the space because you have just a limited amount of space here that you're working with. So just kind of in the middle of that is where you want to put your spider, and I just give that a little bit of a pinch and then just twist that up. And the main thing is you want to try to get some nice creases here. All of these folds here, you want to get these nice and lined up, because this here is what's going to be the legs of your spider. So you want to make sure those are nice and even. If you can work with this, the same creases all the way, and if you have to add a couple extra in, that's fine. But I like to just kind of give that a pull and just line up as many of these creases as possible. And then just keep twisting that up. And then once you get down here to the bottom of the section here, this is just going to kind of booch up, but I usually just kind of tuck that right in there. You can sometimes adjust those creases just a little bit and get that just to fit right in there nice and tight. And then I'm going to use kite string to tie that section up too. Now the rest of this here, you can continue with this DNA pattern, or the pleats to do the DNA, or you could scrunch this. I'm going to go ahead and continue with these creases since I already have them going, and we'll just put a little DNA checker pattern at the bottom of this spider tee beneath the V. Okay, so let's tie the rest of this tee up. I guess I could have finished tying all of these creases up earlier. As soon as I tied that off, I could have finished that. I just got distracted, and it happens. Okay, now I'm back, got my bottles ready to go. So I'm going to color 2 of each of these spaces in my colors, and then the back side I'm going to do black, and this here I'm going to alternate so I get a nice DNA effect. So what I'm going to do is color 2 opposite spaces in red, and I'm using Fire Red from Dharma. This was lemon yellow, and then I added just a little bit of deep orange to it to give it more of a gold color, and this is emerald green from Dharma, and then this is my black mix where I have a few different blacks and I've just mixed them all together, and then that's what I make my black dye from. So, and then these little bottles here, they have these little tips on them. I'll put a link to that. I found these on Amazon, and they're the 4-ounce bottles, so they're really nice. I've been using them for about 5 months now, and I haven't had any issues with leaking on them. So I'll put a link to those down in the description also in case you want to get some of them. I'm going to saturate that nice and well, because like I say, we're going to put black on the other side. So this side we want to get really nice color saturated in there. Okay, so now for the DNA part of this, what I like to do is line up my bottles in the order that I'm going to be dyeing them. Let's move them into screen here. Okay, so I have 4 colors here. So basically what I'm going to do is start at one end and work my way down. I'm going to go ahead and dye the first space here in red. And this is the important part for getting the nice DNA look, is you have to shift the bottles. So that's why I like to line them up in an order. So since I'm going to dye each of the 4 colors, I'm going to count and leave 3 empty spaces for these 3 colors, and then the next one I'm going to dye red. And this here just helps you be able to pick up one color and dye all of the spaces in that color. Just make sure that you count accurately, because I did have one dress that I actually was even doing a video on that I lost count of my spaces, and when I flipped it over I didn't have enough room for all of the colors. So that was fun. Anyways, 1, 2, 3. So one more in red here. Okay, now I'm going to flip this over and we're going to start putting dyes on the other side here. And I'm going to put a couple rags down just to soak up some of this excess dye. I can already see it wanting to puddle just a little bit. Okay, so now for the spider part of the tee, I did the colors on one side, and on this side I'm just going to do solid black. And that'll give me the nice black spider I'm looking for. Okay, and then for the DNA part, this here is the order that I put my colors on before, with the red being the first window here, or first slot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the red down one space. So now, in this space that was red on the one side, I'm going to start with the gold. So on this side, all of the red spaces get dyed gold, just because that's the order of my colors. So I'm just going to go along and put that in all of these same spaces here. And that's how you do the DNA, is just by shifting your colors one space. So on the front I have gold here, on the back I have gold here. So it's just off one space. And that'll give you a nice DNA look. And then I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to let it sit to soak in just a little bit, but for batching I'm going to flip it over so that the black is facing down. So there's the DNA Spider VT. And I will have these results here in just a few seconds from your perspective, but I'm going to let this batch for 48 hours. Thank you.